Hi, everyone. This is Jenny. Welcome to Miami Lit Podcast. Today's special guest is Mr. Trent Talbot with Brave Books. Welcome.
Hey, Jenny, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm so excited to have you here and to dive into this amazing project that you've created. Let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and if you know how you related to books back then?
Yeah, I was not a reader as a kid. I I did not really like books. My brother loved books, but as a kid I didn't. I did like Curious George. That was my one. That was my one that I would ask to be read before bed. But besides that, like when I was like 10, 11, most of the other kids were reading different books, Harry Potter and all that stuff. I never did. Um there was a couple I like Treasure Island, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but wasn't a huge reader. My childhood was pretty normal. I was just big into sports, very competitive. Um, I wasn't a big fan of school, but just love sports and love just playing outside. That was my thing.
I was not expecting the answer, to be honest with you. That's so interesting. So what was that turning point? Was there a turning point when you decided or you found a love for books?
Yeah, I like mid-20s, I started to just absolutely love books. I just became an avid reader, and both nonfiction and fiction. Nonfiction is a great way to learn. I'm an ophthalmologist by trade, but I just developed a passion for business. Um, and so I learned how to do business through reading nonfiction books, but I also started to read fiction books and fell in love with that. I mean, my favorite books are fiction books for sure. Um, yeah. So it's interesting how that happened.
For sure. Yeah, it's it's so interesting that you say that because they say that it's never too late to become a big reader.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you started in your mid-20s.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Now it's all I do is read and make books. So
I can't think of a better way to spend your time, honestly. Do you miss being a practicing ophthalmology?
um not really. It's hard to miss something when you're as busy as I am.
Right.
I got a lot going on. So and it's so fun. What I get to do for at Brave Books. So no, don't really have time to miss it. And yeah, just being doing creative work is it's hard to beat that.
For sure. Um, so a little side note, I when I started college, I was supposed to go to school for ophthalmology because my
Oh,
parents had an optical. They owned an optical here in Miami.
okay.
And it just, it was like the thing, right? Like I would take over. And I was
Yeah,
just so miserable in those
yeah.
classes. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine spending my day going, which is better? One, two, one.
Well, so that's optometry, which
Right. You're right. Yeah.
to me does seem very miserable. Ophthalmology is not bad, there are days when I miss this, but I especially enjoyed the cataract surgery. So
Oh my gosh.
cataract surgery is really cool. It's a very precise surgery where you go in and you take out the old
Right.
hard cataract and put in a new fresh lens for people to see. That was fun. Um, but yeah, um, I I wouldn't want to be doing anything else than making these books for kids. It's a lot of fun.
I can't imagine. Do you remember that first book that really like hit you, that made an impact?
Um, well, as a kid, you mean?
Whenever.
Well, the Bible. I mean, the Bible wrecked my world. So I was living for myself and always trying to learn new things. Once I started reading and then thought I knew a lot, and I didn't really know anything until I read the Bible, and it just totally changed the way I view everything. And so yeah, that's the one that really rocked everything.
For sure. Do you remember how old you were the first time you read it completely, like, all the way through?
Yeah, I was 32.
Wow. So, I mean, it's a tough read.
Yeah.
I can't I mean, I started it so many times, and it was just too much. You had to put it back, and then grow a little bit and come back to it and gain new appreciation for what it contains.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Brave Books. How
Sure.
did this come about?
So I was a happily practicing ophthalmologist, was holding my 3-week-old daughter, Charlotte, in the summer of 2020. She's my first child, and was scrolling through Twitter and came across a trailer for the film Cuties, which is a Netflix film that sexualizes young girls. I mean, like 10 to 12-year-old girls, they're doing all these sexually provocative dances, and it just made me sick to my stomach. Just couldn't believe that I was seeing that, and that's where our culture was. And then I just couldn't help but think, hey, my daughter's going to be that age before I know it, and that's the type of stuff she's going to see, and that's how she's going to think that it's okay to behave. And if that's the culture she's growing up in. And man, I just it really messed with me. I like couldn't sleep that night, and just wanted to do something to push back. And just had the thought that in order to fight back against culture, you have to have a culture of your own, and a better culture. And so just felt a duty to do something, just because I started to have a vision for Brave Books. And then once I had the vision, I just felt a duty to see it through.
Right. That's amazing. I think it's safe to say that we all as parents, not all, but most of us feel like something's going on and there's a lot that we're not okay with, but none of us actually did something about it. So,
Yeah.
it's amazing that you went with it all the way and now we have these amazing books.
Yeah. Well, yeah, whenever you have I've got a pretty creative mind. And then so I was just able to see sort of how this company could look, and the type of books that and what it could do. And once you have a vision, it can just grab a hold of you. And like I I was newly married, new kid. you know, I didn't have a ton of money. I've been practicing for a few years, but and so it was a big fight. It was a big financial risk, but like a clear vision is a powerful thing. And basically it sort of just it was like, no, you're gonna do this. And I was like, okay, you know. It's kind of interesting how it worked out.
Did you ever have doubts?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, to change professions, I spent 12 years in school to become an ophthalmologist, and then a few years after I started practicing, to quit that and make children's books. Yeah, I had a share of doubts. I had a ton of haters. My dad thought I was lost my mind. And yeah, but yeah, it's just I didn't see anything else out there that was really filling this void, and pushing back against what this wokeism, Marxism, religion is pushing on our kids. And so just just that duty was strong.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you used the word religion for it because that's what it seems like. It
Oh
went
yeah.
from just being these ideas to some sort of yeah, religion seems to fit. It's you know, just like in religion, you have a faith and you believe and seems like it's what's going on with this too. There's just this blind faith and there's no room for questions or facts even.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm a Christian, and what the Bible tells us is that we're created, and we're created for a purpose, and that's to worship our creator, really, and to glorify him. And so I think that all of us are made for that purpose, and within us we're all deeply religious, and we worship. And so if we don't have a religion, then we'll find some sort of ideology or some sort of idol to worship. We all will. And so as America has gotten less Christian, then these ideologies have gained more and more power because they have more or less become religions, like you said.
Yeah. It's it's very concerning and very sad actually. What would you say was the biggest challenge you faced when Brave Book was in its inception?
Everything, everything. It's hard. I didn't know how to make kids books. I didn't know how to find illustrators, how to do the printing, how to set up the website, how to fulfill them, how to get people to see them. It's just like everything. It's like 1,000 new obstacles and challenges, but we just took it one by one, just boom, boom, just methodically worked our way through everything. And we've figured it out now. We've launched 15 books at this point, and 15 amazing books. That's it's been pretty incredible how the team came together and how the books came together in such a short amount of time. We launched this thing in really in March. That's whenever we decided to really do this, was in March of 2021. So it's been like 18 months. And
Wow,
yeah, we've done a lot. Um,
that's that's almost a book a month.
well, we our core offer is our book of the month club.
Right.
So so we
Ours is
do
on the way, by the
Oh,
way.
really?
Yeah,
Nice.
my girls, I have 2 girls. They're so excited.
Oh, they're
They're
gonna love
specifically waiting for the elephant one because we
it. Okay.
elephants in this house are just magical. So they're
Oh,
very excited.
they're gonna love that one. So that Elephants Are Not Birds is our first book. And then if you did is that the only book that you got, or did you get the, Book of the Month Club?
Yeah, we got that one on the
Okay.
book of the month club.
Yeah, yeah. So we're doing a special this month where if you get the book of the month, you get our first book, Elephants Not Birds, for free. So yeah, you'll like both those books. The book of the month is with Julie Banderas. She's a Fox News personality, and it's on perseverance. And so anyway, yeah, we do it a new book every single month, and so it's been a whirlwind, but we've got a system now, and we make some really awesome books.
And I don't know if you have if you share this opinion, but I feel like children's books are one of the most difficult formats to write in, just because you're limited to the amount of words and how to tackle like such a big message.
Oh yeah, it's a challenge. Yeah, typically our our books are 1,500 words or so, and so you got to be precise, and every spread needs to be well thought out. Every word needs to be well thought out, because you got to pack in so much information in just such a little amount of space. A novel, you can take your time, you can fully, you can just
Right.
babble, but with children's book, it's just you have to be so thoughtful and cut, whether it's an illustration, a sentence, a whole story, a little side plot, cut until it's just crystallized into just a clean, clear, but fun story.
Right. Yeah, there's it's such a big challenge. Because like you said, you have to make it fun, but then the message can get lost in all that fun. Because what's the point? It's
Yeah.
um yeah, that's so exciting. What would you say has been the best experience so far?
Oh, the people that I've been able to meet, you know,
Yeah.
um, just I've got to the conservative movement really took us under its wing and got behind us. I partner with some huge names in the conservative space, and got I got to meet President Trump, and that was cool. And so yeah, just the people that I've been able to meet and watching our team come together and go from none of us had any experience. It was just a group of friends from my church that really started this, and but we've so to see the growth of everybody in the company has been really awesome, special.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, I obviously I knew you had a great team because I met some of them on Sunday, but I didn't know that you guys were friends before. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna dive into something like this, it only makes sense to do it with people that um you have some sort of connection with.
Yeah.
So, Brave Books concentrates a lot on American foundational values. What would you say those are?
Oh, I mean, the Constitution, so freedom of speech, freedom of religion, um, just freedom. I mean, freedom's the big one.
Yeah,
Uh, and y- yeah, and then, you know, respecting God, America was founded with Christian values. So a lot of the Christian values, the forgiveness, and things like that. But I think the most important one and the most important American value is freedom, and it's definitely under attack today. Especially with COVID and just sort of it moved that window of what's acceptable up,
right.
moved it a great deal, and so we I think we have to stand firm and protect that.
Definitely. Do you do you think this has been like a long time coming?
It's hard to say because I'm kind of old, I guess, but I'm not super. I'm not that old. And I had my head in the sand for so long with all this stuff. Really just started paying attention a few years ago. So hard for me to say. Um, it sort of feels like it though. It sort of feels like something happened in the '60s, just based on things I've read. Something happened with the '60s where it sort of unleashed this like Marxist ideology into our universities and throughout all of our institutions. And then now we're starting to reap that.
Yeah. And now we hear so much about critical race theory and the universities and even it already trickling down to the basic education system. Did you ever experience anything like that when you were in school or college?
Um, I I wasn't really looking out for it, so I don't remember it being bad. The only thing I remember is when I got to college, they told me that Abraham Lincoln was a racist, was a really bad racist, and that was like so confusing to me. Uh, and so I just sort of like, oh, okay, that teacher's kind of crazy. But and now we're here where everyone's racist, and yeah, all our founders, the worst people ever. Country's racist. Yeah,
Yeah. Huh. Oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with because it seems like there's such a gap between what we're being told and reality that we live in. You know what I mean?
yeah,
If this country was so racist, why are people like me here? And why am I thriving? You know?
right, right.
Um,
Yeah, it's not a racist country. I think we're all we probably all have a little bit of partiality, like deep within us, to people that look like us, but we're in this country especially, we're so taught from an early age that that's wrong. Like, everybody thinks that. I've never met anybody that thinks it's good to be racist and to judge people by color. So we're taught that that's wrong from an early age. That it's just
right.
so not a problem that it's. And I think everybody knows that, but it's just like it's an opportunity for some people to virtue signal, and I think that it is a great way to keep the country divided, you know, and there's a lot of people that like that
For
for whatever.
sure. Yeah, they benefit. But it's interesting how, I mean, you're right. You don't meet people like that. But in a school setting, there's always that undertone of, if you're a minority, there something wrong will be done against you. And
Yeah.
it's such a shame that that's what we're doing to the younger generations because they're growing up thinking something wrong is gonna happen to me,
Yeah,
or I'm gonna
yeah,
be hurt in some way.
yeah, and it makes them see things that maybe aren't quite there, you know? They see racism where it doesn't exist, and then they feel not welcome, and then it makes everything worse,
Mhm.
you know? Like
Yeah. It feels like we're raising kids to look for how they're being oppressed. So I
mhm,
was a teacher for 11 years, and I remember there was always some sort of question around oppression, and a big one was, why are all our teachers women or most of our teachers women? It's, oh, because and they would try to find an answer that was fitting to this oppressive idea
yeah, yeah,
and not a more realistic answer, like maybe because women are naturally nurturing and that's a profession that lets them explore that.
right.
Um, but
Yeah, exactly.
we can talk about that all day. So let's um on that vein though, there seems to be a theme of shame in the younger generations when it comes to identifying with their nationality, with the idea of being an American.
Mhm.
You see a lot of them say, "Well, I don't want anyone to know I'm an American," or if I travel overseas, I won't share the fact that I'm an American. Um, do you but yet we see so many people literally dying, not just figuratively, dying to get to this country and live under these American values. Why do you think this is happening?
Why do I think that there's shame in the younger generation for being
Yeah.
American? Okay. Well, I think it's just this wokeness religion, like we are talking about. You know,
Mm,
it's everywhere, and it's the religion of our major institutions, and education institution is one of them. And the teaching and the belief there in this religion is that America a is a colonist country that colonizes and oppresses, you know, less, less developed countries, and where we've done all these terrible things, and then we it was founded on slavery and all this stuff, and um so it creates a if that's the teaching, and that's what they teach our kids, then it creates in the mind of the child, well, if I'm patriotic about America, then I'm basically identifying with all of these past, injustices and terrible deeds, and sort of identifying as like I'm okay with racism.
right.
And it's not, you know, it's not like I don't know if they outwardly state that, but it's sort of implied. And um, there's nothing that kids fear more than the judgment of their peers, and nobody, like, the worst sin that any American can commit is to be perceived as racist now. And so that is so I don't know. That's one explanation. It's probably more than that, but that's at least the one that
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
It definitely makes sense. I mean, everything starts with education, I feel like. And if this is what we're we're teaching, it's only going to get magnified as they grow. What would you say is the biggest issue we face as Americans today?
Hmm.
All of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just feel like we are we're just getting to the point where it's gonna be really hard to come back together. Or we are just so or the worldviews are becoming so far apart. And
Yeah.
and I don't think that the right has really changed. And if anything, the right has moved to the left, over the past 10 to 20 years. But the left has just gotten this wokeness idea. I mean, I've said it, I don't know, 10 times probably so far, but they've gone so far to the point where it's hard to see us coming together, and um yeah, it's definitely concerning.
Yeah. It I don't know how they're gonna be able to fix that rift because I mean, you see families not speaking to one another,
Yeah.
friendships being lost because of political ideas. I don't recall that being the case even 10 years ago. You could have a difference of opinion and still be able to come together and break bread. And
Yeah.
now I don't know if you've experienced that in your personal life, but I've definitely seen it in in our little bubble.
Yeah. I definitely have, and a people, whether it's a family, a company, a nation, they they're only really a people if they have shared values. And so this country, from its existence all the way up until, maybe 20 years ago, had those foundational American values that we all believed in, you know, um, freedom being at the top of that list. And, and, but this woke religion has gotten so powerful now, and it holds none of those values. It has its own set of values: equity, oppression, all these things, um, that are just not, they're not in line with the original values. And so people are sort of following one camp, one to the other, and just seeing the world in two totally separate ways. And um, I think one of those is going to have to win. And I hope it's not it's not the woke ideology, because we've seen more or less that ideology win in other countries, Soviet Union and so forth, and it's not pretty.
No. People completely lose their humanities under that ideology, which
Yeah,
is why it's difficult to understand in today's day and age and all the examples that we have to show how this is something that will not work ever. And yet here we are contemplating it and even taking part in it. It's it At least for me, it's really difficult to come to terms with why it's gotten to this point. Um,
yeah,
like you said, we have so many examples, other countries. We're Cuban, and I mean, it's right there. We know it doesn't work.
yeah. Well, you need to get The Island of Free Ice Cream for your kids, which is our third book. It's on the topic of the dangers of communism, and your kids would love that book. They'll love
Yes, I'm
it.
looking forward to that. They're just learning about the idea of communism and what that is and so on. And I'm excited. I'm excited to show them in literature and other books, not just me talking. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah,
cements it.
yeah.
It makes it real when
Oh,
they
yeah.
see it in other places, especially a book.
It validates the beliefs that you share. But
Yeah.
if it's if you're the only one teaching, for example, the dangers of communism, but everywhere else they go, at school, on social media, in Hollywood, they're getting a different, you know, version, then eventually that version is going to win because it's got all the glitz and glamour, and it's got it's the movies and the popular influencers, thing like that. Your mom, you're not cool.
Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. So that's like one of the big things that of why we started Brave, and one of our big missions is just to arm parents with tools so that they can use those tools to reinforce the values that they hold dear, and to show that, hey, not only do other people think this, like, there's awesome books and worlds that have been created that sort of have these beliefs, and it's kind of weird that's important, but I really do think it is.
It's absolutely important. If it wasn't, and it didn't work the way that you're describing it, we wouldn't see this fight to have these woke books in schools.
Yeah.
It's definitely the way it starts, and the way something flourishes is through books. So I really appreciate these books more than ever as a parent, and I'm sure so many others too. So we just talked a little bit about communism, and Brave Books tackles so many difficult topics. I feel like to talk to kids about the gender identity, cancel culture, my favorite, and not for great reasons. Capitalism versus communism, um, and like we mentioned before, children's format. It's such so difficult to write in. What has been your process like?
Well, we've created our own universe, and every story takes place on Freedom Island.
I love
Uh,
that.
yeah, yeah. So the publishing company is Brave Books, but our main series is called the Freedom Island series, and um, so we work with conservative icons for all of these books. So it's a collaborative process where we can't just have the author from scratch write their story, um, just like however they want to, and then publish it, because we have to tie it into this world with our characters. And so basically we have a call with them. We're like, all right, what do you want to write a book on? All right, I want to write a book on socialism. So I had a call with Dinesh D'Souza. He wanted to write a book on socialism. So all right, well, what's most important to you about the topic of socialism? What do you want kids to learn? Like, if you're narrowed down to three things, and with one, and what's the main point? And so anyway, so we have that call, and then we basically take that and we come up with, all right, a rough storyboard based on our world and our characters, and then we send it to him, and he's like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like this. And he just sort of goes to work and maps it out. And then we're like, all right, we got a good storyboard. And then we work on a first draft and go back and forth with that until we have a story that's in our world with our characters, but that teaches the lesson that our authors want.
That's amazing. How long is the average time for this from beginning to end?
Well, to sort of map out the story and the different spreads and what the spreads are going to have with illustrations, it takes us a couple months typically. And then to get them illustrated, another 4 to 8 weeks. um but what was I going to say? But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
I can
was going to say something
imagine.
else. I couldn't.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe tonight at midnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens to me all the time. So you mentioned Freedom Island, um, and I love that. How did you settle on an island? It's kind of a silly question, but I was curious.
Well, we we wanted there to be some some other islands or some other sort of countries, more or less, that were doing things different, that we could use to sort of draw analogies to maybe our relationship with China, or to show some communist countries like we did with the island Utopia. And
Mm.
so we didn't want them to just be one body of land with like walls. I don't know. We just like the idea of an island.
Oh,
Kids
that
love,
makes sense.
yeah, kids love islands. It also brings in the sea aspect, and so we've got in Saga 2, we've got a pirate named Lester, who's him and his crew are sort of causing all sorts of chaos on Freedom Island, so it just brings out the islands bring out a lot of creativity
Right.
or
That
opportunity. Creativity.
yeah. That's so interesting. So elephants can fly.
Well,
How
it's
do
actually It's actually elephants aren't birds.
I am sorry. So where did I get elephants can't fly from?
Well, they can't fly. I don't know, but
That's what I
but
I'm sorry.
no, it's
We'll
all good.
we'll
So
correct that. So
yeah,
elephants aren't birds,
yeah.
which is a much more fitting title. We'll make sure we'll edit that out.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so that was our very first book, and that was sort of where we wanted to put our draw a line in the sand, from the beginning, and because that's sort of a sacred cow for the left and the woke ideology is this trans, issue, and
Right.
we think that there's two genders, and that you're you are what you were born, and that you can't really change that, and so we wanted to sort of draw a line in the sand from the beginning, let people know where we stood, and that was our first book, Elephants Aren't Birds, and it's a great book, just a lot of fun. Like I think if anybody read that book, they would just enjoy the story. But there's and it's not like preachy at all, but there is that message there for sure. So it's a story about Kevin the elephant. Kevin's a an elephant that can sing really well, and he loves to sing. So one day he's singing, um, while he's carrying the carts around, which is typically what the elephants do in the town of Tokotok, and Culture the vulture hears him singing. It's a vulture named Culture. Here's Kevin singing and says, "Hey, you're such a good singer. Surely you must be a bird." And Kevin loves that idea because he loves to sing and he loves the idea of flying. And so he's like, okay, awesome. So Culture gives him a beak and some wings, and he goes around. He's not a very good bird. Has a hard time sitting in nests. Has a hard time eating with his beak, and ends up trying to fly from the top of the tree and has a really bad fall. But at the end, he ends up saving the town because he's able to put out a fire with his big trunk, and so learns that he is an elephant, but just because he's an elephant doesn't mean that he can't enjoy singing. Like we're all different, but he was made that way for a reason. And so anyway, that's sort of how we tackle different topics. They're not like preachy at all. They're just fun stories that kids like.
Yeah, I love that. And that's such a good lesson, to really teach kids from early on to appreciate our differences, but really be grateful for our own personal talents.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
especially for girls and boys too, but girls with all social media nonsense seems like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
questioning a lot, their looks and X, Y, and Z. Um, how do you and your team deal with the potential threat of being labeled all these, racist, bigot, uh, something, all the ones that fall under that crazy umbrella?
Um, we don't think about it too much. It definitely happens. We get those crazy emails and threats and all that stuff, but we make a book a month, so we're sort of busy.
We don't have
Yeah,
time for that.
no, exactly. We don't have time to get too caught up in it. Um, but yeah, we've got the attention of the left a pretty good amount. Politico, uh, um, Rolling Stone have done hit pieces on us. Jimmy Kimmel did a like 3-minute long bit about us. But
Oh, I
eh,
haven't seen that.
oh yeah, you should go check it out. Uh,
Huh. That
it's
means you made it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're getting to the point where we're getting too big to ignore. So that's a good place to be. And we're just getting started. Only 15 months old.
That's right. This is very, very exciting. So you mentioned before you've worked with some pretty amazing people, including Robbie Starbuck, Dan Crenshaw, and Dinesh D'Souza. What what was your experience like working with them?
Um, they've all been amazing. They've all, they signed up to do a book with us to support us, and because they love our mission. And these are people that the conservative movement um, loves because of the stands that they take, their ability to communicate, and and that they're just bold, and so all these people have been, it's really fun to get to know, and I mean, they're all like they are on social media or on TV. They've been the real deal, so it's been really cool.
That's awesome. Do you have like a dream collaborator in mind? Like if you could work with anyone, who would you choose?
Man, I'd love to do a book with Trump. He's the world's best promoter, so he could promote the heck out of that book. Love to do a book with Trump, Tucker. Who else? Those would probably be my top two. Joe Rogan, that'd be cool.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be amazing. Um, which is your favorite, your personal favorite from the collection?
Oh man, Elephants Not Birds is probably my favorite. It's the very first one, and yeah, just a lot of fun memories with that one. We didn't know what we were doing, but it came out so good. Um, so that's probably my favorite. Let's see what else. This latest book, that's the current book of the month, is really really fun too. It's on the topic of perseverance and just really it's cute.
Yeah. We need more cute in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
We definitely need more cute. Everything just seems so grim and
Yeah.
sad now. Um,
Mhm.
even like kids' TV shows, they just don't seem fun anymore.
Yeah. I know. Need to bring fun back.
Would you ever see some of these books becoming like a kids' TV show?
Of course. I mean, Freedom Island, it sounds like that was made to be a TV show, right?
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We've from the beginning, we've had that as the long-term plan. So we've structured our books to sort of be able to do that. And yeah, we would love that. We think that the visual media, the screen is just whether or not we like it, it's a huge part of culture. And if we're gonna enter the space of culture and try to fight back through culture, then we need to be on screen. So
Right.
definitely want to do that. We also want to have middle grade novels for the older kids to tackle topics just in a more thorough way and maybe hit some heavier topics as well. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So and we've got a lot of we've got a very bold big vision for Brave.
I
And
love that.
I think we've got the team to pull it off.
Well, speaking of ideas, I have an idea to request to share, but you probably thought of it already.
Go
So
for it.
one was young adult novels
Okay.
because I have a preteen.
Yeah.
So personal
They're coming.
request.
They're coming.
Um, and a video game. Like how kids are obsessed with Roblox?
Yes,
Something
yes.
like that where I wouldn't have to worry about creepos
Right.
talking to them.
No, exactly, exactly. So, that's that our brand our brand, um, like the big idea of our brand is we want to be the brand that parents can trust that their kids are not going to get exposed to anything that they don't want them to. And not only that, but will reinforce, you know, the values that they hold dear. We're a Christian conservative company. We have these strong values, and everything's going to be in line with that. We're and so what you just brought up is the fear of your kids being exposed to people and ideas and whenever they're off, whether they're watching TV, video games, books. And so we want to be a multimedia company that parents can trust.
Absolutely. And you're doing that already. So just
Yeah.
give us some video games
Sure.
for,
Right.
for those of us that can't get away from the screen. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like my girls are pretty good. They're not screen obsessed,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's only so much that you can just say no. Eventually they want to play a game and do what their friends are doing.
Right. That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult as a parent to try to balance that and not make them feel like they're being punished in some way.
Right, right, to not feel like you're against them.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
Yeah. Um, let's quickly talk about censorship. Especially down here in Miami, the last couple days, our school board voted against this Pulitzer Prize winning play being shown to high school students, where it's been accepted in the past. And there's this whole argument over censorship and how it's really damaging. What do you think about that? And how do you tackle the idea of censorship?
Mm. Well, I think that in general censorship is bad. I do think I do think that there's certain things that our kids should not be exposed to. Like I don't think our kids should be exposed to um, sex and a lot of a lot of these ideas, like these anti-American ideas, and the idea that you can be whatever gender you want to be. So I think that's very harmful and confusing for kids. So in like some sense, I I do get the idea of wanting to control what our kids are exposed to. Um, I think that censorship for adults is, for the most part, a very bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, I think the group that is way more pro censorship, of those two camps that we were talking about earlier, sort of the woke religion and sort of the traditional American um, value system. The woke is way more censor happy, and so what ends up happening is you end up censoring a lot of, it's this new wokeism ideology that's censoring the traditional, and I think that's a terrible, absolutely terrible idea. I mean, as bad as it can get. Yeah,
Yeah. I think I definitely have to agree with you. And it feels like they're we're confusing censorship with finding what's appropriate for children, you know? Um, to say this isn't appropriate for a kid to read and be exposed to is not censorship.
yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a balance, but a lot of the stuff that I'm like talking about where that kid shouldn't be exposed to is pretty like any normal parents like, no, I don't want to
Yeah.
show like talk. I don't want to have teachers talk to my kids about sex when they're
Absolutely
7 years
not.
old. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so um, so anyway, yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah. It just and seems like parents for the last couple of years have left the parenting to the teachers. And
Yeah,
that's a
it's a bad idea.
huge, huge problem. Do you have any advice for parents with reluctant readers?
Um, any advice for parents? What?
With reluctant readers?
Oh,
Kids
with
that
like
don't really
years.
care to
Well,
pick up a book?
give them some brave books. So so I think a lot of the reluctant readers are probably boys. Boys are more, I think, reluctant readers than girls, and I think the boys really like our Freedom Island series. The first book comes with a big 4 by 6 foot Freedom Island poster, and then every book unlocks a new character, so they get to put a new sticker on the poster, and every time they visit a certain place on Freedom Island, they get a Freedom Island flag that they put on there, and so boys like that type of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and some of our books are action packed, so biased, but I think give the Freedom Island series a shot. But then probably more important than that is just to have fun with it. Like you as the parent set the tone for any experience with your kids. So if you're reading a book with your kids, like get into it, you react to it, and then they'll follow suit.
Right.
And e- even I know kids are kids can be difficult sometimes, but every kid wants to have fun with their parents, and they want those moments where you're both focused on the same thing in the shared moment together, And so just give that to them, and you give that to them by being dialed into the story, engaging, you know, expressive, and the kids will join in.
Yeah. They might be reluctant at first, but they generally follow suit once they see that you're interested in something.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What about advice for future writers?
Um, phew, let's see. Well, man, I don't know if I'm the best at that. But just have a very high standard. And one thing that we've done that has been a game changer is we test out books like so many times. We've developed this family feedback program where we'll send books, early on in the process, have them read it, see how engaged the kids are, get feedback. Just don't be in love with your own ideas. Test, see what the market thinks, and then adjust accordingly.
Is it difficult to let go of a potential book that you've been working on but hasn't worked?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. When you're in the whenever you create something, you get attached to it. It's your little baby. So
For
so,
sure.
it's hard to drop an idea. We we have done that probably like 4 or 5 times where a book's just not working out. The feedback's too bad. We can't make it better. Most of the time we can. So so, but even ideas within the book, you know, even that's hard to kill, hard to get rid of, hard to cut.
Right.
But at this point, we've done 15. We sort of know we it's not that we're becoming less attached to our books and our ideas, but we just sort of know that it in order to make the books as good as possible, we've got to put our egos aside and our attachment aside and just, yeah, make them
Yeah, it
better.
sounds like you guys all found a good system and a good flow.
Yeah, we have
That's exciting. What was the last book you read?
this book right here,
The Secret. Have I
Secret.
read
So
that?
it's not
It's
the new
not The Secret.
no, no,
Right.
it's not the new age secret. It's a leadership book that I'm reading with our senior leadership team. Um, yeah, I've never really been a part of a big organization like this and trying to figure out how to develop people and all that.
Yeah.
So that's most recent book. I read the Bible every day. It's just a great blessing. Yeah.
And you read The Secret with your team? Like, you all read it together?
Yeah, yeah, I'm reading with the leadership team here at Brave.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
That's, yeah, I hadn't heard of someone do that. That's really interesting.
yeah,
Because you can work on it together and connect and just do so much.
yeah, and it
Um,
creates a shared understanding of what
right.
does what does good leadership look like. So we're all on the same page and we're all operating from the same framework.
Nice. Um, what's one book you think everyone should read at least once?
In the Bible.
Yeah. Definitely have to agree with that. Even if you're not Christian or Catholic, you should read it at least once.
Yes, definitely. It's by far like not even if you're not religious, it's shaped the world more than obviously any other book, more than any other thing ever, and nothing even comes close to comparing. And so maybe if you've never read it, maybe you should wonder, "Hey, why is that? Why did it change everything?"
Right.
And yeah,
And it's such a comprehensive uh approach to human psychology, I feel like. It tackles so much of our complexities. Um yeah, I I would definitely suggest that book as well. Um do you have any other projects you would like to share?
I mean, yeah, our vision is that we want to provide parents with a brand that they can trust, that where and so So what that looks like is TV shows, movies, middle-aged novels, YA, um, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, yeah. Having ideas for projects is not our problem. Our problem is spreading ourselves too thin because
Right.
we fall in love with those ideas. Um, but yeah, currently, I probably the next big thing will be middle grade novels coming from Brave.
I'm really excited for those, I have to
Oh,
say.
they're gonna be good.
Do you have a date, an approximation?
We're hoping spring of 2023.
Oh, it's not that far off.
No, no,
Little less than a year.
yeah, yeah. It,
Would you like to see these books in schools, like in curriculum?
yeah, I'd love that. Would definitely love that, and I think slowly we're we're making inroads there. It's a whole world, like getting books into libraries and schools and the homeschool community and all this stuff. Um, but but yeah, I think they should be, and so yes, I would, and we're working to make that happen.
That's very exciting. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. I know you're super busy, so the fact that you penciled us in means so much. We're
So
very excited to receive our books and to continue to support you all and to see all the amazing books you'll be creating.
yeah, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, for those listening, go to bravebooks.com and highly encourage you to subscribe to our book of the month club. It'll be a great resource for you and your family.
Absolutely. We'll have it linked down below, so just to make it easier for everybody. Would you one more question. I'm just thinking about all these things as we wrap up. Would you consider doing some books in other languages?
Yeah, we definitely want to make some books in Spanish.
Mhm.
That's our first language that we want to do. Yeah, we do. Um, hopefully in the next 6 9 months or so.
Can I make another request? These
Go
are
ahead.
all very selfish, by the way. I'm just thinking of me and my household. Can we have bilingual books? Like one page is Spanish and the other page is English?
Oh, I've never seen those.
I
Yeah,
have I have some, obviously not by Brave.
yeah, right. Would you mind just sharing with me maybe via email, like, an example so I can see what those look
Yeah.
like? I've never seen those.
I'll take some pictures and
Okay.
I'll send them your way. But it's literally like one page, let's say right side Spanish, left
Mhm.
side English, and it's for word the same thing.
Okay, interesting.
But I really
So
like those because my girls, obviously, we want them to be bilingual. I would want them to speak all the languages, but unfortunately, my knowledge is limited. So we're just hoping for bilingual for now.
mhm,
And they go through periods where they're very anti-Spanish.
mm,
Not that sounds terrible. They really don't wanna put in the effort, and English is so easy for them.
mhm,
So those books are really help to make Spanish cool again and
okay,
want them to and it helps them see translations and meanings and the whole thing. So
gotcha. Cool, yeah, we'll think about that. Thank you, Jenny.
you're welcome. If you need any more ideas, let me know because apparently I have a lot of requests.
Yeah,
But enjoy the rest of your day. And I look forward to having you again sometime. This was awesome.
yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Chase your